What up? What up? What up? It's your boys with the Fair Enough podcast. Micah didn't pump fake me this time. It was Hayden. I don't know what he was doing ahead of time, but we
Gang
got all
signs.
three of us. Hey, don't say that. You can't say that. We got all three of us on the podcast today. How's it going, boys? What's going on?
Oh, doing good.
Doing good.
So today we're gonna throw back to when we did our playoff predictions. We're gonna quick toss that, say some changes we've made, why we took teams out, why we put a couple teams in. Except for Micah, he's like, nah, I was just really good at this the first time, so I didn't change anything. So me and Hayden
It's
did
just
swap
laziness.
a couple people out.
Fair.
Okay. All right. Let's just call out Mike in the middle of the thing. No, but for real, and then we're gonna do some. We have some season-long props that we're gonna toss out there for just predictions, and then we're gonna start our week one process of we're gonna call it the Fair Play Parlay. All three of us are gonna pick either a spread, money line, or over under. All money lines have to be dogs. Spreads can be either one, obviously, and then over unders are just over unders. So. You can't come in here and pick, like the Bengals to beat the Patriots week one and be like, oh, let's go, put it on the parlay, Bengals money line. So that should be a fun little competition. We're going to come up with some kind of punishment / reward for the winners and losers. We'll figure out what that is at a later date. Hopefully we can figure it out before we put the first TikTok together so we can kind of make it interesting for you guys to watch and see and know what the person that loses is going to have to do. I'm sure it's going to be awful. So I think Mike has to shave his head if he loses. That's all I know. So
Deal.
You should actually have to shave your beard. That would be awesome.
That's fair.
I don't know what my punishment would be, but looking at you with a clean shaven face would be
a design
hilarious.
in his beard. Not just full shaven. He needs to do a design in the beard.
It's not like thick enough to do designs. When it's trimmed down, it's so red that it's hard to see anything cut into it.
But if anybody sees this and they got a good idea, just comment it. We might end up doing it.
Well, now that I said something about shaving heads, I know what half the people are going to comment, and it's going to be your head being shaved.
All the people are going to comment that.
Well, that's a great one for me, but we got to come up with ones that are just as equal for you guys.
I mean, me shaving my head is pretty
head.
Awful. I'm not. My wife might kill me, but I agree. I don't even care. Like, I'll put it out there. But anyways, I might have to float that and see what. Okay, it's not going to work, but I'll overrule. It doesn't matter. Anyways, point being, let's get into the stuff. Let's stop talking about us shaving our heads. No one cares about that, even though they actually probably care about that more than the football.
Yeah,
but
that's probably true.
It is what it is. So playoffs. We'll go back and talk about. We'll go to Micah's first. It's the easiest. So he still has 49ers, Falcons, Cowboys, Lions winning the divisions in the NFC. Packers, Rams, and Cardinals in the wild card. I probably should have let Micah read that. Micah, do you want to read your AFC teams so that I don't feel like I'm stepping on your toes?
You're always stepping on my toes. I'm used to it by now. My AFC team.
You know what they say about big feet, Micah?
Big socks. Bengals, Jets, Chiefs, Colts, Ravens, Dolphins, Texans.
And you got who in the Super Bowl?
I've got the Packers and the Chiefs.
All right, so no change from Micah. I think Hayden might be right. It might have just been like he didn't care enough. He doesn't like us enough to give his real opinions. But
I like the Packers a lot this year, but I also think they're a young team, so Super Bowl prediction's pretty bold.
Hey, man, maybe he just liked them.
It is a bold prediction. They were my second pick. We talked about this last time. They'd still be my second pick. So I'm just giving you crap. I really like the picks. We're pretty similar on playoff teams. Hayden, I'll let you go next and kind of explain your process of who you took out and why you took them out and why you put in the team that you did.
Yeah, I'll read who I have, and then I'll try to remember who I thought I had before. So I had the Niners.
It's highlighted for you.
I see it now.
Highlighted.
I see it.
Okay.
I had the Niners, Falcons, Eagles, Packers winning the division, and then I have the Rams, Lions, Cowboys getting in the wild card. I put the Cowboys in the wild card instead of the Bucks because I just feel like the Cowboys the last few years have been getting those 12 wins. They've still got the same team around them for the most part. And I think Dax needs to play good. I mean, I know they're getting close to his contract being done, but I still think that division's completely wide open for them to be able to win 9, 10 games and still slide into the playoffs as usual. I'm not saying that they're going to do anything, but I still think that they're a good enough team to make it. And I just think they're just slightly better than the Bucks. Um, and I think that if it came down to it, I think they would just barely get in over them.
All right, and what about the AFC?
In the AFC, I have the Chiefs, Bengals, Jets, Texans as my division winners, and then I have Ravens, Bills, Dolphins, wild card. I put the Dolphins in there this time instead of the Colts. I just have a feeling that the Dolphins are going to be a better team this year. They're not going to be that team that kind of fell apart at the end of the year. They did get riddled with the injury bug on defense there towards the end of the year, and I think that really hurt them. They were kind of hitting their stride middle of the year and then just kind of fell off. I think that they'll make the playoffs. I think that they're a pretty good team offensively. And I just think the Colts, there's more question marks there with Anthony Richardson than Tua, in my opinion.
Yeah, so the reason I kind of didn't elaborate on the NFC, I'll get to in a second. AFC, I 100% agree. I took out the Colts and I put in the Dolphins. We did not talk ahead of time about what we were doing with these predictions, so that was kind of funny to look at and be like, oh, well, me and Hayden obviously saw similar things in preseason to get us to that point. My AFC teams are the Chiefs, Browns, Jets, and Texans winning the division, which I originally had the Colts winning the division. So move the Texans up into that, and then Ravens, Bengals, Dolphins, wild card. So I debated on taking the Browns out of that divisional spot, but that was my one kind of bold prediction. So I figured I'd stick with it. One thing, we still all three have the Bills out of the playoffs, even after watching everything preseason and all. So that's probably one that's going to buy us. Somebody probably
No, I
should
have
just
them in.
toss. Oh, you do? I just can't
Yeah,
read.
I have
Okay.
them in the wild
Good.
card.
Good. I'm glad we all three didn't say that they weren't in because that would have been a little blemish on
Yeah.
it. That's like when you show the game day graphic at the bottom and everybody picks the same team. They're always wrong. With
Oh,
the four
yes.
states. But so yeah, I'm definitely glad you have someone in. I think for the NFC, the reason I kind of slow played it is I have the Rams, Falcons, Packers, Commanders winning their division, 49ers, Lions, Cardinals as the wild card. So I put the Commanders in over the Cowboys to win the NFC East. We talked about on the episode where we originally did this. I don't like the Eagles or the Cowboys. I don't like the direction either franchise is going in. The Cowboys' offense is super Dak reliant, which has always been fine when you have a running game and you have other pieces around him. I mean, this year they are starting Ezekiel Elliott, who is 75 years old. He looks like he has eaten every bowl of cereal that there is now at this point.
Too much cereal.
It's not feed him anymore. He's been fed and it's over. It's done. Or you're tossing out Rico Dowdle. I mean, I don't know. I don't like what's going on there. They've just brought in Dalvin Cook. Like if you're signing Dalvin Cook to your roster and your two best running backs are Dalvin Cook and Ezekiel Elliott, I'm not a fan of that as far as your team goes. And then obviously CeeDee Lamb is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. But outside of that, they don't have a lot of pieces. You got Jake Ferguson, who's a solid tight end, but I just don't like what they're doing with their offense. So, like I said, the Commanders was kind of just a war of attrition of who am I actually going to put in the playoffs? And it was them or the Giants if I don't like the Eagles. And I'm not risking my podcast career on putting the Giants in the playoffs. So at least with the Commanders, I can be like, I thought Jane Daniels was going to be good. And they're like, there's a lot of people that say that. If I say, I think Daniel Jones is going to be good this year, that's like fireable. Like we don't have jobs. We don't get paid. You can still fire me. Like that's worth it. So I don't know. And then I took the Bucks out too. I just think that the Falcons are going to be a better team than I even expected when we originally did it, and I think they're going to be farther ahead. And I took the Cardinals. I really like what I've seen from them in the preseason. And what's funny is they didn't play. Like, they didn't play anyone. So it's not like I'm watching Kyler play well. I'm watching Marvin Harrison Jr. play well. Just the way that their scheme worked and the way that their offense was running, even with bad quarterback play, I was like, if you put Kyler into this system, I think it's going to look pretty good. And then you add Marvin Harrison Jr. They got Micah's boy, Trey McBride, Michael Wilson, Zay Jones. So I just think that offense and their defense is going to be improved, I think. I still don't think it's going to be very good, but good enough to maybe get to 10 wins, which I think in the NFC gets you in the playoffs this year. So that's what changed for me. My Super Bowl is also still the same with Chiefs and Rams. I'm going to take the Chiefs. If I had to pick a non-Chiefs team, I would pick the Rams. I would pick another NFC team. So pretty easy for me. Hayden, did you say your Super Bowl or not?
No, but I have the Chiefs Lions. I think you said it stayed the same. So
yeah,
we all
pick the
a
Chiefs.
Non-Chiefs person. Should we all
Is
go?
Is it just going to be your NFC team? Is it just going to be your NFC team?
My NFC team. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. A non.
I mean, you would pick like an AFC team. Besides
no,
the Chiefs.
I'm saying no. That's what I meant. AFC team that if the
pick
Chiefs
one, that the Chiefs don't make the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Now, our brains are on the same page now. Okay. Micah, you had to yell at me on the podcast.
Micah, go ahead, throw yours out if you want to.
Oh, I may go Ravens. Kind of a bold one there, but just with all they have on with bringing in, it's not that bold, but with bringing in Derrick Henry, I think that offense is going to be something different. And, well, a lot of the same, but just a whole nother animal with him back there. And so I think if they get in a run late in the playoffs, get some bad weather games, which I think most of them are in domes nowadays, bunch of wimps.
Yeah, like we're calling NFL people wimps. That's what we're doing now.
I'd love to see you call Derrick Henry a wimp. I'd love to.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, he's not. Like, if he was out there in a cold weather game, he's getting the ball.
Boy, yeah. But I want to tackle that guy.
Yeah. The AFC actually doesn't have a lot of domes for their main teams. That's one thing that's kind of fun about it. But
so, yeah, they get a decently cold weather game.
So you're sticking with the Packers, though? Are you not going to? Yeah. Are you going to change that or no?
No, I was just saying, since we're all Chiefs fans, we might as well mix it. Like, we're going to obviously choose the Chiefs. We might as well pick somebody like.
All right.
Okay.
Well, if we do that, I'm going to take the Texans. Mm-hmm. That might be even more bold than the Ravens, but I think I'm going to do it.
I think that's loose.
They've got so many weapons.
That was for sure mine. God. Okay, I'll pick somebody else. I won't pick the same people.
Gosh. Okay, man. Well, I mean, if I didn't take them, I'm taking one of the two rivals that have been the rivals of Mahomes.
I'll go bold.
It's going to have to be one.
I'll take the Browns.
Really?
If I got to pick somebody else besides them, I think the one thing that you could say about a lot of the teams at the top is you know exactly what they are when they get there. And if Deshaun Watson is actually good, which I don't think so, I'm not betting this on my own, but if Deshaun Watson's actually good, that team is good enough around him that all he has to do is be solid. Like, he doesn't have to be great. He doesn't have to be Deshaun Watson from the Texans. He just has to be a top 10 quarterback. So if
he goes back to that year where he was at the Texans when they ended up getting beat by us real bad in the playoffs? He was playing good that year.
If Deshaun Watson is at that level, the Chiefs and Browns are going to be rivals for the next 5 years, and they'll be the two in the AFC Championship.
But that's the biggest question mark there.
Oh yeah, yeah. Lots of jokes we probably shouldn't make on air to be made.
Yeah, they're not appropriate.
Yeah, if him and Robert Kraft get together this offseason, I bet they have a real good time.
Okay.
So, that's making the joke without making the joke. I can say that.
Yeah, well, you didn't make it. I mean, most people can probably read underneath the lines there where you're getting at, so it's all right.
Read underneath the towel. Okay. Moving on. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to talk about is our season-long parlays that we put, or season-long bets. Just kind of our favorite, and we decided to pick. It had to be a passing leader, a rushing leader, or a receiving leader. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. None of us picked passing leader. If I did, I would have picked Mahomes, and that felt too biased, so I didn't do it. Micah actually has conviction on his. He's the only one that did this for real and has his own hard-earned railroad dollars on it. So let's go ahead and lead with him.
I got it for 950 on the app I use, and but Luke said
Not sponsored. Fanatics.
Not sponsored Fanatics.
Maybe
But
one
Luke,
day.
Luke was using FanDuel, not sponsored either.
No, we don't.
And yours was what, 750 or 700?
Plus 700.
Plus 700. I got it for
Rushing.
plus 950, and it's still that way, still on that app. I got Brees Hall rushing leader.
Yeah, so before, I guess, kind of a disclaimer before we go into like talking about these, search your apps. If you are not one that's linked into an app and you're like, I only use this one because I like it, which we all have one of those and they're all kind of different. But if you are one person that's not tied to them and you want to make a specific bet like Brees Hall rushing leader, go Google it, see what the best odds are, and put it on there. So, Micah, talk a little bit about why you think Brees Hall could be the rushing leader for the year.
So, I mean, last year he was so good. And I mean, what, they add 3 guys to their offensive linemen? Or add 2 and drafted 1 or something like that?
2 starters are new. They have a new backup too. So, yeah.
Okay.
They added 2.
Drafted the rookie. So he's going to have just so much more to run back behind there. They're also going to take a lot more attention away from him with Rodgers being back there. And even if Rodgers ends up getting hurt again, they still have Tyrod Taylor, who I think will be solid enough to take some attention away from Brees Hall. But I mean, last year he led with 8. He had on their team. He had 8 of their 18 or 19. 8 of their 16 touchdowns or something like that. He had half their touchdowns as a team. Maybe it was 9 of their 18. Forgot the stat. I said it earlier in the one.
It's okay. Just go back. You got to go back and look. Just leave the feeler and be like, if you want to know the exact stat, you got to go listen to the other episode.
So he clearly was dominant last year, even with an atrocious offense in general. And that offense is just going to get better. And there's going to be more distribution, and it's going to take a lot of the attention away from him. And I think he's just going to have a great year.
Yeah, so I really like that. When you're betting these props, health is out of it. You just have to assume everyone's healthy. Like, who would I pick on this bet? Because you can't predict the injuries. Maybe don't go put someone like Aaron Jones, who happens to miss 6 or 7 games a year, and be like, oh, he's going to be healthy this year. But for people that have been healthy overall for the course of the season, like, you just have to be – if everyone's healthy, what would I bet? I think Brees Hall might be the best pure running back in football. Christian McCaffrey, I think, is the best running back when you include everything you do. But the only one that I think I would have an issue with is Bijan, just in that role that he's going to be in this year. I think that one's just as close for me. But, I mean, you're tossing them up in the air, and I think Brees Hall has better odds. So I really like that bet as well.
Yeah, I agree. I like it too, Micah.
I actually lied. Bijan has better odds. Give me Bijan. Hayden, you go ahead with yours next.
Mine, I took Justin Jefferson plus 1,000, and I'm using DraftKings. I liked him. Sponsored. Just kidding. I'm not sponsored. But I really like him. I think he's going to bounce back. He got hurt a little bit last year, and then he also didn't have anybody really good throwing on the ball for the most part after Kirk got hurt. And he was still, I don't remember the exact yardage that he was averaging, but I want to say it was like somewhere from like 75 to 90, somewhere in there, which is still quite a bit for considering he was playing with Nick Mullins, and I can't remember who's the other one he was playing with. The dude they traded from the Cardinals. He played with Dobbs and those guys, and I mean he was still averaging that. And I think, in my opinion, I like Sam Darnold way more than those two. And I just think Sam's gonna be able to give him the ball more. I mean, I think he's talented. I think with Kevin O'Connell scheming it up for him, I think he'll be able to get the ball to JJ. And then, honestly, the main reason is because I was thinking about it with Hawkinson being out. They don't have their three-headed monster that they kind of have with JJ and Hawkinson and what's his
Addison is
Addison?
questionable
Yes,
right now too for week 1, so you don't know if he's like supposed to
yeah,
play or anything else. So
but he's at least probably going to play here in these first few weeks. I think Hawkinson might miss a decent portion of the season, possibly. So I like the fact that there's not three great options there, and two makes it a little bit better to where JJ can kind of get a lot more targets, even though I think no matter what, he would still get a lot of targets. And he's just really good. I mean, he's going to defeat double teams. I mean, and I just think he had the best chance at a plus 1,000 odds. It looked like pretty good value to me.
yeah, I was going to say on FanDuel when you told me Justin Jefferson, I was looking at it and he was second in odds, and so I'm assuming if he's plus 1,000 on
He's
there,
fourth. He's
he is.
behind
And
Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, Chase.
yeah, so on mine, I guess him and Chase are tied on mine, but he's above him. But I kind of like CD at the even odds, but if you're telling me Justin Jefferson is the fourth best odds, I personally think Justin Jefferson's the best receiver just by himself in football. And then really, like everything you said, totally back. I think he's the number one option. Hawkinson's on the pub, so he's at least out 4. I think I saw 6 to 7 was kind of the guess right now, but a lot of times those predictions are like if they say 6 to 7, then it's 8 to 9, or you never
And
really
it could
know.
be how they're playing too. I mean,
Well, if they're not playing that good, I doubt Jefferson's getting, you know, played out, ran out there by himself. But um, yeah, I do think Sam Darnold's good enough to throw the ball to Justin Jefferson a lot. I don't think you have to be an elite quarterback to do that. Dobbs brought a lot of energy to Minnesota, but he was throwing for like 150 yards a game. So when Jefferson was pulling in 75, that's 50% of the passing yards for the team. I think Darnold probably averages 225, somewhere in that range. So if you can get 110, 115, get that same target share percentage, you're looking really good. We talked about rushing leaders, and I talked about the two at the top with Bijan and Brees. But my kind of like a little bit more of a long shot bet for rushing leader, I'm going to go with Josh Jacobs at plus 1650. Um, I really like what the Packers have offensively, and the way that Jordan Love did really well last year in play action, and for that to work, you got to run the ball pretty well. But then also they kind of feed on each other. So if you're really good at play action, teams can't sit there and run the ball or guess run, not like NCAA, but you can't sit there and sit on the running game. So you really got to allow the guys to kind of do their thing, take off. And I lost my entire train of thought because that little sleeper noise played in the background for our anonymous draft. But yeah, just Josh Jacobs. I think he can do a lot with that offense. Oh yeah, Marshawn Lloyd hurt to begin the year. AJ Dillon out for the season on the IR. So I think a little bit of a workhorse back is in order, especially for the first few weeks until Lloyd's 100% healthy. So I really like him being able to kind of take that. And I think it was 2 years ago he was the rushing leader, and he played for the Raiders, who were not that good. So he has it in his pedigree. He has the ability to take the carries and run like that. So yeah, Josh Jacobs plus 1650. That's my sales pitch on FanDuel. Still not sponsored.
yeah,
We
I
have to
like
say
it.
that because I don't want to have like otherwise I got to put that we put ads on there,
Yeah.
and so if I don't specifically say not sponsored, then they're like, hey, you're advertising FanDuel, and I'm like, I'm
Look
not.
at
That's
look
just
at
what we do.
you. Look at you using your law degree, getting around things.
Oh yeah, that's what it's for, right? It's not to like have a job or something.
I
It's
mean,
just like
technically, you don't have a
write
law
up
degree
anything.
yet. I should specify.
That's true. That's true. Cannot give legal advice.
Maybe one
Not
day.
not sponsored by Mizzou Law.
Oh
We're just gonna say not
yeah.
sponsored by everything we talk about.
Nah, actually, I pay enough for that. I don't even care. Like we should be able to claim that they're sponsoring us, but they're not. Just so everybody is on the same page. Okay. So that went so much faster than I expected. So I think we should, kind of on the fly here, should we just talk about some of the regular season games? We have what we're going to do for our parlay. We're going to call it the Fair Enough Parlay and do one. Each of us is going to pick one game. That's our favorite of the week. But I feel like we could kind of do a breakdown here of all these games. We have, approximately 30 minutes or so, unless you guys got somewhere
Just maybe,
to be.
Nope.
Plus, are we wanting to talk about the one that we're going to keep track of how many times we miss?
Yeah, that's the Fair Enough Parlay.
No, I thought we were keeping track of how many ones we don't get on, like, just doing separately, like by ourselves.
Oh, I didn't know that. We can talk about that later.
Yeah.
I'm confused. I guess I confused what you were talking about. But we'll just. Are you saying just pick every game and?
No, I thought we said before when we were talking about this, I thought we were gonna tally up how many bets we get right and how many we don't get right. Like, I didn't think we were just doing that on the one that we combine our legs.
I was just saying for that parlay, that's what we're doing. So like, whoever hits the most of their leg of the parlay throughout the year, that's the winner of that.
That way, because I'm probably not going to place near as many bets as you guys, depending on stuff.
So let's go by how many bets you get right, and I'm going to bet like a quarter on every single NFL game all year.
Well, I wasn't meaning you had to actually go place them, Micah. You could literally look it up right now and place a bet on the podcast. You don't have to actually go put money on it.
Gotcha. But what's the fun of that?
Fair.
Then go put money on
it. I'm broke.
All right. Let's talk about the
maybe
first
after
game
this
here.
weekend.
Okay. Game 1, Chiefs Ravens. We're all going to be on the same side of this one, I think. I thought about putting this because I like the line, but Chiefs Lions scared me enough last year that I didn't pick this one. We came out really flat, so that scares me for this one. But I think the Ravens are a little bit more on our radar than the Lions were last year. I don't think we expected them to play as well as they did. So I like the Chiefs -3 here, and over unders 46.5. Yeah, I'm avoiding that like the plague.
Yeah, I like the Chiefs. I may just go money line though. What's the difference in the odds? I should probably look that up though.
I have plus 130 for the Ravens and then minus 155 for the Chiefs. That's on DraftKings, so.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Yeah, you can't take the favorite money line. This is not a weak podcast. You either bet the spread or you take the underdog. Even though that's definitely not how you should play it sometimes, especially if you're going to build a parlay. But
if I have to bet anything there, unfortunately, I think I'm taking the odds of the money line for the Ravens, just because it's the only thing with positive odds. And the Chiefs, the last 2 years, have just come out flat in both games, and it does. I mean, it being at Arrowhead changes that a little bit. But if I'm going to put any money at all, I might put it on the Ravens money line.
I think if I'm doing anything with that game, I'm probably more or less going with the total, and I'm probably going to go under. But that's what I like, just because I think, like Micah said, I think he has a good point. We have came out flat in the more recent years in the first game a little bit. I know last year was kind of an anomaly. We had Kelsey out, but I still think we could come out a little flat. I think they could come out a little flat. It's the beginning of the year. We don't play a lot in the preseason anymore. So if I was going to do anything, most games I would probably side with the under, unless it's just like an atrocious total line.
But regardless, I'm probably not betting on that one at all.
Yes, standalone games under is usually a good bet, just percentage wise. I'm also probably avoiding that one, to be honest. I don't really love that. Then you have a Friday night game, so this week is awesome for football, to be honest. But you got Packers Eagles. Eagles are a 2.5 point favorite. Packers are plus 120 on the money line, and the line's 48.5. I'll go first. Micah, this is your Super Bowl team. I'm sure you're probably going to be on the same side as me, especially probably easy to figure it out because I said I don't like the Eagles very much this year, but I'd take the Packers money line in that one, even though it's on the road to Philly in a night game that is a brutal environment. I like plus money. It's more fun.
Yeah, that's. I was probably going to do the same thing on that one. Moneyline Packers. That was one I actually, if we were going to do more bold takes for our fair enough bets, that was going to be my parlay. Maybe that was going to be one of my bold parlays.
Bold.
I don't know.
I
don't know if I like anything in this game. Honestly, it's a tough matchup. And then the team that I like more, they're on the road. They didn't play hardly anybody in the preseason because that's what LaFleur does, which is fine. But it makes me think that they might not play super hot right at first. I don't know. If I would take anything, I might honestly take the Eagles minus 2.5, but I don't know if I'd even really do that.
I was going to say, if we go 2 games and the only thing you pick is the under, I was just going to lay into you for being so soft. But it's okay. You pick the team. I like it. I don't like it. I picked the other team. It's
I mean, if I wanted to be fun, I would pick the Packers money line, but it's like, if I want to say, I also want to just throw money away.
Oh, wow. Okay. How dare you hate on Micah's Super Bowl pick like that? Next game, starting the Sunday games, we got Titans and Bears. So these are 2 teams that really haven't been fun for a long time. I mean, the Titans have been good way more recently, but even when they were good, they were not fun. So Titans are plus 4.5. I, again, am going to go with the underdog money line. I think it's just really hard to come out, be a rookie quarterback, and perform in your first game. So I'm really just betting against that and Eberflus, who I'm going to enjoy betting against as I have for 3 years now. Usually turns out pretty decently. So I know that means betting on Will Levis, which I don't necessarily love starting. Like, I would like to watch a couple games. So I would probably avoid this line if I was like, I'm not going to actually really bet it. But if I had to pick one, I'd take the Titans money line.
I mean, I'm probably going to go.
You can say
Bears. I'm probably going to go. I'm probably going to go Bears minus 4, honestly, just because I like the value a little bit better, and I think that I still have questions about Will Levis, and then with Hopkins being out, I don't know. I'm not saying that will make him struggle a whole lot, but he kind of had some chemistry with him a little bit last year. So I don't know. That's probably where I would go. But like you said, I'm probably not actually going to bet it. But that's the one that I would like the most out of that.
I'm tempted to go the over.
I like it.
I do like it, but it sounds so stupid because just both young quarterbacks, but
they don't have great defenses.
They don't, and they both have a decent amount of weapons on both sides of the ball now. Like, and if Caleb comes out hot and Levis comes out hot, like, I mean, that could be. I think I might go the over if I go anything, but that game just scares me just because there's so much new things on both those offense, and just so.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. If I'm going over, I'm parlaying with the Titans money line. I think if that game's really high scoring, I think the Titans defense is.
I like that actually.
Or the Bears is the defense that could actually make stops. So if you think this hits the over, I think that plays more into the Titans' hands there. But like I said, not betting it. But now I'm thinking about betting the parlay. And okay, this podcast is going to be a bad idea for my wallet, or a really good idea.
You mean your wife's wallet?
Ouch.
Yeah, I actually do. Okay. Next game up. So we'll just talk about it in live time. This will be my first bet for the parlay that we're going to do. So we have the Pittsburgh Steelers against the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons are a 3.5-point favorite. Over under is 42.5. Falcons minus 3.5 is my bet that I'm going to go for the week. The Steelers quarterback play is really bad. The Falcons should be a much improved team. It's at Atlanta. I do not know why the line is 3.5. That's basically Vegas saying if this game was on a neutral site, they'd be even teams. I think there's a little bit of hesitancy with Kirk Cousins, not knowing his health situation, how he's going to come out week one. To me, a 75% Kirk Cousins is still 200% of Russell Wilson. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Falcons, take the 3.5, and that's my favorite bet of the week.
That's about the only thing I really want. That's really about the only thing I want a part of in that game. I think Pittsburgh's not going to be great, and I don't see that line just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
If you play player props too, with Arthur Smith being the Steelers' offensive coordinator, I would not be surprised if they give Bijan the ball 40 times in that game just to stick.
Yeah. I don't know. I could flirt with the only thing that I would flirt with in that game. I would honestly, I like your pick the most, Luke, but I could maybe even think about a plus 3.5 just because of that field goal difference there. I could see it maybe just being a little bit of a struggle for Atlanta, but to where they get the win, game-winning field goal at the end, and I just barely cover. I could see something like that. And Kirk hasn't played yet. Pittsburgh still has a very good defense. Their offense is what's going to be the struggle. So if they're slowing Atlanta down, I could very much see that being a 3-point win.
Yeah. I think Atlanta just has so much to prove and so many unanswered things. Like there's a lot of teams that are going to come out slow. I think Atlanta has every reason to come out fast and really show people what they are. So I like teams that, have a little bit to prove, came off bad years, new coaching staffs. So everything about the Falcons I really like in that spot. Next game, I'm going to let somebody else go first, but I'll tee it up to you. We got the Dolphins and Jaguars.
I'll go first. I'll take the Dolphins at minus 3.5. I just think they've got enough firepower that that would be another one I might parlay. Is the over? Oh, that is a lot though. No, I would go the over. That is a lot of points. I would go the over and minus 3.5. Honestly, I think because I think Jacksonville is going to be solid deep offensively, and I think Miami's just going to put up a lot of points like they do to start every season, and then it gets cold and Tua can't throw the ball in the cold, and then goes downhill from there. But I'd for sure go Dolphins minus 3.5, and I would consider parlaying the over.
Yeah. I think I just like the over. I think I'm going to avoid the teams, but I also like the over.
If I'm going over, I would go with Micah too. I would also double that with the minus 3.5 for Miami. I just think if it goes over, I think Miami benefits more in a high-scoring game than Jacksonville. Not that Jacksonville can't score, just Miami showed last year in September they can put up a lot of points.
Yeah, I just get scared of kind of what you talked about, like if it's like a 26 or 27-24 game with that hook. I don't love it, but I don't hate it either. I just think I would probably avoid the teams at all and just say I think both of these defenses are bad. I think both of these offenses are good. Kind of teased it, but I'll do a DFS release, and you can imagine there's going to be a couple teams from that game because that game is going to be a fast-paced, high-scoring game. All right. Next game up, the most fun game of the weekend. We got the Patriots going to Cincinnati. 7.5-point line for Cincinnati, and the over-under is 40.5. So that means Vegas thinks that it's going to be a very boring, low scoring, and the Bengals are still going to kill them. So, um, honestly, 7.5 points is a lot for an NFL game. I'm hammering the Bengals if I'm betting this game. This was in contention for one of mine to pick. I ended up thinking the Falcons was a better play just because it was a smaller spread, but Patriots are going to be really bad. Bengals should be good. I just get scared with the slow starts with the no preseason stuff, like Hayden said. So I'm going to avoid the Bengals as well.
Yeah, there's nothing I want on this game. 7.5 points is a lot, and I still think they're going to cover. But I just don't want to touch it.
Yeah,
It's not worth. It's not worth the risk for me.
I wouldn't touch anything in this game as it sits right there. I might, if I was really wanting to be a degenerate, I might look at alternate lines and maybe bet them at like closer to 6 or something. I think that they can cover by a touchdown. I just don't like the fact that it is sitting right above a touchdown score. I don't like that.
The other thing that I will say about this game is if I bet it, I might have to watch it, and I don't want to do that. So if I just don't bet it, I don't have to look at this game on my screen. I can just see that the Bengals won the game. So
I don't know if I'm going alternate. If I'm going alternate spread, I think I'm going like 13.5.
Yeah. Have they said what is Chase talking about sitting out, or do they really know? Do they know?
I don't think
there?
Chase is playing, and I think that's what keeps the line right now at 7.5
so
instead of like 10.5.
If I knew that, like if you're somewhere where you can bet right before the game and they say he's not playing, I would feel safe about the under. Safer, not totally safe, safer. And I would maybe go under.
I really think there's a chance. Like if you told me the Bengals won that game 35-7, I wouldn't be surprised. So 40 is just pretty low for an under.
I just don't see them putting 30 plus points without Chase. I find that very on anybody. I find that hard to believe, but maybe.
If they were
they're pretty bad.
Anybody, it would be New England.
Yeah, I just think he's a big part of their offense. I don't think that would happen.
Do you think?
I won't totally disagree with that.
Do you think if this is? We talked about contracts in our last podcast. Do you think will Chase sit less if he sits and T. Higgins just goes off and just absolutely is exactly what Chase looks like at times? What do you think that does to Chase's leverage as a wide receiver?
I don't know that it does as much as you would think it does.
I was just throwing that out there because we talked about contracts last podcast. I thought it'd be something to bring up.
I don't know that it moves the needle as much because I think them playing New England kind of counterbalances it. Like I was talking about.
I don't think it helps out as much as like
if he sits 2 games, who's their next game?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know yet. But I don't like you were saying.
Games, I'm picking Nick and the guillotine coming for you, Nick Edwards.
I don't think it makes as big a deal because it's not like Chris last year. We were playing the Lions, and the Lions were projected to be pretty good. So, like, it was a big difference. And then the fact that we lost. Yeah, the loss is what really did it.
Now, if Jamar Chase sits the game and they lost to the New England Patriots, you best believe that contract's going to be Justin Jefferson plus.
Or they struggle really bad offensively and barely win it. That could help a lot, too. But if they win like 27-3, then it doesn't really do much for him, I don't think.
I agree with that. All right, next game, a little more exciting. We got the Texans and the Colts. I know we just both kind of took the Colts out of our playoffs and, have seen some inconsistencies. I was still pretty shocked to see that Houston was a 2.5-point favorite at Indianapolis week 1. Just with division games, those are always interesting. And the over-under is 50. So there's not a lot of faith in 49.5. Not a lot of faith in either of these defenses to do a whole lot in this game. I honestly think that I would take the under. I would take the under and Houston covering if I was going to do something like that because I think Houston's defense is good enough to stop Anthony Richardson more than I think the Colts defense is good enough to stop C.J. Stroud. So I'm going to bet on the inconsistency of Anthony Richardson week 1 if I have to pick one way in this game. But division games, first week, I'm probably still going to avoid this one too. I know we're kind of copping out of a lot of these games, but
I will say
the right thing to do is to bet the games you like.
Here, I won't cop out because I'll actually. It's scary, but shoot, half the time you got to bet on scary games to win a lot of money if you want to. I like Colts money line in this game. The fact that it's at home, the fact that they didn't matter last year, they played them hard in each game, and probably should have been the team that was in the playoffs because that last game they pretty much had that. That was theirs, and then they lost it. And Shane Steichen's a really good offensive coach. We haven't really been talking very much about them. I'm not saying that they should be flying above the radar, but they're definitely below the radar compared to the Texans. So I don't know. I could just see rivalry at home, opening game. The Texans haven't exactly, it's not like this is week 5 and they've been clicking for a week or two. This is going to be the first game. What if they go out there 3-0, Anthony Richardson scores some points, then it's a ball game. I don't know. I could see money line. And with it being plus 124, at least on DraftKings, it might be more or less on your guys's. But again, not sponsored.
If I'm gonna do anything, I'm gonna do something crazy, and I'm gonna go Colts money line and parlay. Can you parlay with player props?
Yeah.
Parlay.
It depends on which ones you're doing.
Parlay it with a Anthony Richardson anytime touchdown.
Yeah, you can do that
Ooh.
for sure. Well, yeah, I like that
in the lab and cooking.
If I was picking them, I would do that exact thing. I like that, Micah. I would do it.
Hayden's gonna go place a bet right now. Okay.
That's actually what are the odds for that? I'm gonna put that in real quick just to see
it's 115 for his anytime touchdown. It's 132 for the.
Well, I just want to see what it is together.
So it'll be about 260 to 1. Plus 260.
It's plus 260.
I guessed. I don't know.
Plus 310.
I'm math's bad. Okay.
For two bets, I don't mind it.
I don't mind it. That's
if
how
they win,
get you.
I think
that's how they get your money.
Like Micah said, if they win, I think he does have to score one.
I do agree with that. I think if
he's not scoring one, they're not winning.
Yeah, if you think the Colts are going to win, I think you could toss that in there and feel pretty good. Okay, so we are on the opposite sides of that game, me and both of you, 2 against 1.
Mine's just saying if I pull anything, but I still think the Texans probably win that, so I'm not placing anything.
You always got to try to find. I feel like you always got to try to find one where it's kind of what are you thinking there? But because it just happens.
That will be one of my games I look at though, watching wise. I think watch. I think that'll be one of the top games that day.
Last year when you'd bet, Luke, you'd show me some of your bets, and I'd be like, "Ooh, I really don't like that." But then that'd hit, and then I'd send you mine, and you'd be like, "I like it all the way up until here," and then that one of mine would hit, and I'd be like, "Told you so." I'm not saying the rest of them would hit, but that one would, and I'd be like, "I told you about that one."
And then if we ever both agreed, that one never happened. So.
We probably just didn't place that one. If we agreed on it, we were like, "Yeah, we can agree."
I feel like we actually did pretty well if we agreed, but yeah, I feel like we're good at spotting different things, which is why we do a podcast. Different.
Yeah, maybe we'll be good when we put all of ours together.
It's a possibility. All right, speaking of games on the other side of the watching train, though, we got the Vikings and the Giants. Hayden, I'll let you start with this because this is your parlay bet of the week. So take it away.
I was battling between a few of them, but I like Minnesota minus 1.5. I know they're on the road, and it's 2 teams that aren't really picked to really be great teams, but I think Minnesota is actually going to be better than probably a lot of people think. I'm not saying that means that they're going to be a playoff team, but I do think they're going to be viable. And and I like the way their team is progressing forward, and I like the head coach. Not saying I don't like Brian Dable, but he just kind of trended downward last year. I know that there was other things that probably led to that, but I just kind of like where they're at more. Daniel Jones, even in the preseason, has shown me exactly why I don't believe in him at all. So I just feel like the Vikings are going to at least win by a field goal on the road. I think they've just got way better players on offense, honestly. Even if it's just JJ, I think Malik Neighbors is good, but he is still a rookie and he still has Daniel Jones throwing the ball. So that's what I'm banking on.
Go ahead, Micah.
Yeah, my other thought with that one is another anytime touchdown. If you're going with them to cover, maybe throw in a Justin Jefferson anytime touchdown.
What's his odds?
145.
Yeah.
Minus probably.
Yeah.
No, plus.
Oh, really? Oh, I would for sure do that then.
Yeah.
Just ignore the game and just bet at Justin Jefferson
Yeah.
anytime.
Yeah. If I'm going with anything in that game, then I'm just doing that.
Or you could even go anytime 2 touchdowns and it's plus 1,100.
That's pretty bold. I don't like doing the 2 touchdowns, but
no, but
I do
anyways,
like that one. That one touchdown. That's really good odds for him to score.
I like that.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna make Micah look up all my player props now because he's finding gems. Anyways, if I'm betting that game, kind of with what you were saying of I'm not sure about either team, I'm taking the over. I mean, 41.5 is pretty low. I think there's a lot of disbelief in both offenses, which, believe me, is warranted, and I'm not hating on that. I just think that's putting a lot on 2 defenses that also aren't very good to hold both teams under 40, like basically under 20 apiece. I definitely could see that being like a 24-21 game or something like that. So I'll go ahead and take the over in that one, and I'm probably avoiding the game itself as far as which team.
I kind of agree with you
there. The Vikings were at home, I'd like it a lot. I just going to New York can be a little different. So
I kind of agree with you on the over there because I feel like they're gonna be passing it more. I know both teams' offenses struggle, but they both don't really have strong run games either. So,
okay,
yeah, I think
it's the same odds for Malik Neighbors to score a touchdown. So do you go the over and parlay it with a touchdown with both those guys?
No, I don't know Neighbors' role yet. I'm not betting an anytime touchdown. But the fact that Neighbors and Justin Jefferson have the same odds, like these should be flags for people, that's too low on Justin Jefferson. So, we'll go ahead and move on. We got to kind of speed it up a little.
Yeah, you're right.
Panthers and Saints, do we even want to talk about that? That's just the most worthless game I've ever seen in my entire life.
No.
Does anybody think that the Panthers can cover +4 on the road?
I simultaneously don't think the Saints can cover 3.5 and don't think the Panthers can cover 3.5. I don't know how both those thoughts exist in my brain, but they are both there. So,
are we taking the under 41.5?
I'm not betting on Derek Carr or Bryce Young.
I think I would probably just try to run that total up to about 45 and go under.
Okay. Don't watch Panther Saints. Don't bet it. That's our advice.
And I'll lead off this next game because it is part of our parlay, and I have the Cardinals covering 6.5.
Sorry.
Go ahead. I just think the Cardinals are going to be a lot better this year, and I think it may take the Bills a little bit to figure out their new offense and get going. Is all it comes down to.
New offense, almost entirely new defense. Bills should not be a 6.5-point favorite. This is a bad line based on last year. One team that underperformed, one team that isn't the same team that they were a year ago. I almost picked Cardinals money line, got really crazy with it for our parlay. I didn't want to put my whatever punishment was going to be on the line. I didn't want to start out with a plus 245 money line, so I went a little safer, but I really like the Cardinals in this spot. I think that this line sucks. This line is so bad.
There should be bonus points for taking it.
About it.
Like if you were to take the money line, because it's such like crazy odds, there should be bonus points if your leg gets it right. like,
We
like
could
that's
do
not just
we
like
could
a
do
norm.
two
That's not
points for
just
an
like a
underdog money
normal.
line.
But
Yeah,
are
we
we
could do
just
two
gonna do
points for an
like if
underdog
there's
money
like
line.
plus 105, you're still getting those bonus points, or is it gotta be like a certain amount?
We could do like I know we're
Because
figuring this
like
out on the fly. This is probably not great podcast material, but we could do for every plus 100, you get an extra point. So if you put like a
we
spread that's
could.
1 point plus 100 something, 2 points plus 200 something, 3 points. If that's the case, then I will. If we're doing that for real, we'll figure it out. But I will be putting Cardinals money line as my bet of the week.
So then
Um,
if you're taking a favorite, do you just stay with one? It doesn't matter
you just get one. Well,
because
because you don't go money line, you go spread.
we didn't let it go past a certain point. It was like, what'd you say,
Yeah,
110?
whatever a spread is, because sometimes you get a 115 spread or something. We're not going to
Yeah,
be.
I guess that's true.
I'm not going to be like you can't pick that game, but you can pick the favorite spread all the time.
Saints is
But
a
okay,
one. Saints is a 118 minus 118 spread.
Fair. That's where we draw the line.
118.
I like
Okay.
the Cardinals there. I'd agree with both of you. It's
I
kind of a
also
crazy
think
number for the Bills to have that much.
too your boy Micah. There might be a little DFS sprinkle of your boy. Uh,
But
I'm surprised that wasn't more like a
little
4.
little teaser there. But the Bills have 3 new starting linebackers, and I like McBride a lot. So I'll post that whole thing. I'm gonna keep teasing it throughout so people can go and watch the podcast.
his
But it'll be pretty
receiving
fun.
yards are at 50 yards,
See,
50.5.
I don't really do player props because I do play DFS, so I feel like that's how I'm gonna basically do the player props. But
Yeah.
50 is pretty. 50 is pretty good because I don't
For
know
who,
where else the
McBride?
yards go besides
Yeah.
yeah MHA.
Marvin Harrison's
What's
only
what's
65.
Harrison's?
65.
I'd probably look at something like receptions for him, honestly, is what I would like to do. I like to do receptions a lot.
So if you do play player props, though, like one thing to think about here too is right there, the Cardinals have those two, um, Michael Wilson this week, and then running backs coming out of the backfield. So unless you think that Kyler Murray is going to throw for like 150 yards, like those both might be kind of decent bets to bet the overs on their yards,
Yeah.
because there's not a lot of weapons there. All right,
Yep.
moving on. Raiders and Chargers, also a boring game. Um, Chargers -3. Anybody like either of those teams? I'm probably avoiding that one with the division game.
Yeah, same.
I just don't know enough about either one. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
All right,
don't
we're gonna kind of quick fly.
I don't know
So
which
if
one's going
something
to be
sticks
more
out to you,
ass.
you yell at me. You yell at me. Uh, Broncos Seahawks -5.5. Um, I kind of like Denver money line at +220, but I'm not. I don't love it. I just think Seattle's bad. I also think Denver's bad, and I'm probably going to wait a week to see what Bo Nix looks like before I bet on him for real. But if I have to pick one thing, kind of ruin my own speed run.
I'd probably pick
All right,
+6, honestly.
that's the better bet. That's for sure safer. Actually, a good game here, so we'll kind of talk about this one a little bit. Cowboys and Browns. Browns -2.5 at Cleveland. Over under 41.5. I think here you have a lot of turnovers, which you think, oh, that means that it's a low scoring game. Turnovers typically mean high scoring games. I'm probably betting the over 41.5 here. I think there's a couple short fields the teams can take advantage of. I think the Browns defense is actually really good. I think the Cowboys defense is really opportunistic. So um, I think that both teams will be able to kind of score points. I'd probably take an over 41.5 and pair it with Browns -2.5. I just don't think Dallas is a good team this year.
God, that's so tough.
Why?
I mean, I probably like the Browns more, but I could just part of me just could see Deshaun struggling and Dallas just squeaking with a win.
I think you definitely see
I
that.
might take, honestly. I don't know that I would bet it in real life, but I'm not going to say that I completely hate the plus money for the Dallas Cowboys money line at plus 114. I would think about it.
Yeah, plus 120 on mine, so you might like it a little more. Um, a game that I think is a great bet. It was almost one of my picks when we were talking about like what we could do. Commanders and Buccaneers. Buccaneers are minus 3.5. I'm probably avoiding the game. Over under 43.5 though. I think that's also a bad number. I think that game goes over. Neither one of those defenses are probably going to be very good. Um, so I really like over 43.5 there. Basically, you're just betting on is Jaden Daniels solid in this game or not. And I think he'll be solid. I don't think he'll be great, but if they get to 20, I think that feels pretty safe for me.
Yeah. I think -3. I would take -3 for the Bucks. I think they're, in my opinion, I think they're the better team. Jaden Daniels is rookie. Baker played well last year. Same offense around him pretty much. I'd take -3.
Luke, you're nom in FFA.
Okay. Micah, go to the next game.
Next game is the Rams Detroit. Um, oh, that one's tough. That one's going to be a good game. That's a lot of points. I was thinking over because I thought it was going to be a high scoring game, but it's 51.5 points. Um, I may stay clear of this one just being a divisional game. Or not a divisional game,
Is Jameer Gibbs
but
still hurt?
just
He
just
said
that
he's 98 to 100% right now.
98 to 100. But just with that rivalry, with that trade of the two quarterbacks, I think that's just going to be quite a bit of shootout.
I think
Um,
I'm hammering, honestly, the +3.5 for the Rams, in my opinion.
plus 3.5 for the Rams. I don't hate it. I just
Might get bold and go +150 to win. I
I
don't
got
know.
164 on my app.
I agree with you, though. It's such a toss-up. Neither one of those teams played their starters very much, and then they're coming off of great seasons last year. It's like, do they hit? Do they just come out flat? Like, what's like? It's so hard.
Yeah, I'm avoiding that game. I just want to watch it and enjoy it. So, if I had to pick anything, I'd probably take the Rams just with it being at home. But
Well, God, with that
or it's
mentality,
at Detroit.
I'd never bet on the Chiefs.
There was a long period of time that I just did that for my own mental sake, but now they're good enough that I can do it
Too much
sometimes.
of a degenerate not to.
All right, last game of the week. We got the Jets at the 49ers. 49ers minus 4.5. Over under 43.5. I'm not touching a Monday night game. First week of the year. Just going to save my sanity. Not doing anything with it. Should be a really fun game to watch.
Same.
Well, that's no fun. I would say,
I'd look at player props in this game because
yeah,
on
I
Monday
would
night
probably
I don't
look
do
at anytime
DFS. That's what I would look
TDs
at.
and see what they would do.
I'd,
Honestly, I
the,
might. 43.5 seems fairly low. I know these teams are really good defenses, but they've also had a lot of playmakers. I would maybe think about going over 43.5.
Brees Hall plus 145 for anytime touchdown. Same with Garrett Wilson. Those might
they're
be
the
some player
same.
props. They're the same.
Gosh, I thought Garrett Wilson would have a little better odds. I'll take Garrett Wilson, just see if he gives me the Aaron Rodgers throw to my number one receiver touchdown that he
And
typically does in the red zone.
honestly, if I was going at the over, I would probably just go ahead and parlay that with the +4.5 for the Jets. Because I think if it goes over, I think they keep it close.
I'd probably agree with that too. I also think the Jets have the better defense of the two.
If it stays
And
under, I would see it being more like the Niners blow them out, but they just don't score
yeah,
enough in the game to get the over.
I don't disagree with that. All right, that's week 1. We kind of talked about every game. That's kind of probably what the schedule will look like for the most part during the NFL season. Probably try to dive into every game, see if we can get a little bit of insight, some stuff. Like I said, I'll be posting the DFS thing on TikTok later this week, and I'll post that with our parlay. I'm going to try my hand at a graphic. I don't know how that's going to go, so I'm not promising anything, but we'll see. We'll see. Thanks for listening, boys. Adios.
All right.
See
See ya.
Good seeing you guys.